Hi, I'm Gwen Funk. I'm the field specialist in horticulture with MU Extension in Northwest Missouri. My talk today focuses on how to prepare seeds to maximize germination rate when you want to collect and start your own plants from seeds. There are basically two different kinds of seed treatments, scarification and stratification, which I will talk about here in just a minute. But my talk today focuses on Missouri native tree species. So the seed treatments, scarification and stratification. Scarification is basically using mechanical methods to help break down the seed coat. It usually involves roughing up the seed coat with a file or a small knife. And what it does is it puts pores in the seed coat that allows water to enter the seed, and that helps break down the chemicals that are maintaining dormancy. So it allows the seeds to germinate a little bit faster. You can also use hot water and acid sometimes to help with the scarification to help break down the seed coat. It just kind of depends on the type of seed that you have. Now, stratification is what I'll be talking about mostly today, and there are different kinds of stratification as well. You see cold moist, warm moist, and basically we're trying to mimic what is going on outdoors. So in Missouri, we have the cold winters, and the tree species have adapted to that habitat. So we mainly use cold moist stratification for our seeds here. So I'm going to talk first about the oak trees, and we have two main groups of oak trees. We have the white oak group and the red oak group, and they need to be handled a little bit differently. So the white oaks, you do want to plant the seed as soon as you can after you collect them. They start to germinate right away. So the radicle of the seed, which is the embryonic root, will start to emerge. So you need to get those into a pot or into something right away so that they can overwinter in that pot and be planted. The following spring is when you might start to see the shoot emerge. But again, it takes a little bit of time because oak trees are a little bit slower to germinate. They may benefit from stratification, but generally you can just pick up the seeds, put them in a pot, or put them in the ground where you're wanting them to be, and they will go ahead and germinate. The thing with the oak trees, they are a high food source for a lot of overwintering animals. So having them in a pot or in a protected area might help you keep those seeds so they don't get eaten by critters out in the woods. White oaks include post oak, bur oak, swamp white oak, chinkapin oak, and overcup oaks. Mainly, you want to look for the rounded edges on the lobes. They don't have the little pricks at the ends of the lobes. Now, the red oak group, they do need to have a stratification period, or they will not germinate until the following spring. So you'll need to collect those seeds, pack them in some moist sand or moist potting medium, vermiculite, perlite, but you don't want it overly wet, but you do want to keep it moist so that the seeds do not dry out. And you'll want to use the cool, moist stratification for at least 2 months in order for those seeds to go ahead and germinate. Otherwise, they may take 2 or more years for the acorns to mature. So that just kind of helps that a little bit. And again, you can see the little red oak leaf up there in the corner. You see the little spines at the top of the leaf lobes. And that's the one distinguishing thing that you can look for between the two oak groups. The red oak group includes black oak, northern red, pin oak, and many others. Like I said, just kind of look for those spines at the end of the leaf lobes. Another popular group are the hickories and pecans. These are cousins, more or less. We have two groups as well. We have true hickories and then the pecan hickories. Your true hickories will need a cool, moist stratification for 3 to 4 months. So you'll want to collect those seeds pretty quickly and get those into your moist media and into the refrigerator pretty quick in order to have that 3 to 4 month stratification period. Your pecan hickories, you also need at least 8 weeks, so 2 months or so or longer for stratification, but they do a little bit better when you soak the pecans in water for about 24 hours, then do the cold moist stratification. And that seems to help a little bit. And in all of these, if you want to test the viability of the seed, if you put them in some water and they sink to the bottom, then that means that you have good viability. If they float to the top, then it may be that they have been attacked by insects or have started to decay for some reason. So that's a quick way maybe to help your efficiency with the seed starting. All right, so we have oaks, we have hickories and pecans. Black walnut, you probably have seen these on the ground right now. They're falling like crazy. But they do have that greenish black hull. That is what contains all the tannins that turns everything black. You will need to get that off of the walnut and then wash them. And then the black kernel that you see, you can take that and put it in your cold media for about 4 months. And again, it's a cold, moist stratification. And then you can just plant that black thing into whatever media that you're wanting to use. I've done just straight perlite because it seems to be pretty inexpensive. And then as soon as that radicle starts to emerge, then I'll put it into a pot for propagation. But again, you want to get that green hull off. You can save that for some dye. It works really well for dyeing wool if you are into that kind of thing. So it's kind of cool. So that's black walnut. We also have pawpaw, and you can see the little flower there in the center and the fruits on the side. We do have another video that shows when to collect those when they're ripe, how to kind of check for that. Again, they need cool, moist stratification for about 2.5 to 4 months. You do not want to allow the seeds to dry out. So as soon as you collect them from the fruit, maybe wash off any of the excess pulp that you see, and then get those into your moist media and get them into the refrigerator. And then you'll want to plant these into deep pots in the fall or overwinter them in your refrigerator with the moist media. But the deep pots, that allows for that radicle to emerge. They put out a really long radicle root before the shoot will emerge, so you need to give room for that to occur. And then persimmon, you want to collect these when they are starting to kind of turn a dark, dark red. But they need a cool, moist stratification for about 1 to 2 months as well. And then plant the seeds in the spring in your media or in your pots. That's what I have for seed treatments for some of our Missouri tree species. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of the horticulture specialists in your region, and I'm sure they will be happy to help.